Thank you so much for clicking on my video, and if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about Disney's Elephant, the documentary that was narrated by one Duchess Meghan. Before I continue and say let's get into it, I want to go ahead and shout out Baron for talking about my intro. You've created a problem on this side of things because now I can't do my intro. Now because I like the way that you imitate my intro, now I'm subconsciously imitating you, imitating my intro. So I hope you enjoyed it today. So anyway, let's get into it. Once again, thank you so much for clicking on my video. If you have not already, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that notification bell. I want to show you guys my little struggle life this morning. Since it was raining, I wanted to have a nice little cup of hot chocolate while I watched the documentary, and look what they delivered to me. Oh, look. Look at this. Look. Oh my God. Like, it's so gross. And first of all, it's cold. And I do the steaming hot, and it's cold. The bag was absolutely drenched. And I think the person, maybe they had a hard time finding my house and they just like chunked it. I don't know. But I let Uber Eats know that I hate to be a disturbance, but y'all gotta give me new hot chocolate out here because I've paid. So that's what I'm going through today. But I want to go ahead and say a huge hello to the Friend Circle and all the new Friend Circle members. Thank you so much for signing up for a membership, and thank you for being part of the Friend Circle. And I'm going to go ahead and give a nice big royal bow and a curtsy, because I don't know which one I'm supposed to do at any given time. Are women always supposed to curtsy, or can we bow sometimes? Somebody let me know, because I don't know anything about this royal life, yet here we are. So I'm gonna go ahead and bow and curtsy to the royal court. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. I hope you enjoyed how I've tried to do a nice big royal welcome to you in the end credits, and then for the Friend Circle, I do a huge hello to you in the out credits, so everyone gets their shine. I hope you like it. Now, I watched the documentary Elephant. Now, I remember when this was talked about and how people were like, oh my gosh, Meghan's gonna do Elephant, she's gonna narrate Elephant. A lot of people haven't heard her elephant voice. A lot of people hadn't heard her narrating voice because this was before archetypes. I got completely wrapped up in the story. And so if you have not seen Elephant, it is on Disney Plus. If you haven't seen it, this is a spoiler-filled review. Please go watch it first. Oh, so happy Friday, y'all. Please go watch it first so that you'll know what I'm talking about as I'm getting into the story. But I'm going to give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay. And this was a really good documentary, y'all. I love nature documentaries. I've been watching nature documentaries my entire life. To be honest, watching nature documentaries is how the conversation of the birds and the bees actually got spawned in my household, because I had a lot of questions about what these lions was doing. And so they were just like, okay, screw it, let's just tell her. So nature is part of my life. I love animals. I love nature. So this was right up my alley. I was really excited to watch this. So I didn't really know what to expect going in. When we opened up, first of all, I'm going to say this was the most beautifully shot documentary I have seen in a long time. I'm not surprised. I also watched Walking in the Steps of Elephants. I think I'm saying that correctly. Anyway, that's the director's cut of the behind the scenes, which I don't watch a movie and review it unless I watch the director's cut. And I love director's cuts. First of all, I'm going to side note, director's cut of Wedding Crashers is the best director's cut of any movie I've ever watched. If you're ever looking to have a good time, the director's cut where they're talking over the movie is actually better than the film. I don't know how it happened that way. Wedding Crashers is one of my favorite movies of all time. And then the director's cut where they're just telling you the secrets of the movie, fantastic. Same with Tropic Thunder. That comes in very close as a second. The director's cuts of those movies are amazing. Elephant, the documentary, comes with its film as it is, and then it has the director's cut where they show you all the behind the scenes, and it plays right afterwards, so you don't have to worry about going to find it if you have Disney Plus. In the Kalahari Desert in southern Africa, many African elephants prepare to migrate from their home to a grassy paradise. The herd is led by their great matriarch Gaia and her younger sister Shani, who has helped keep their family safe. Shani has also been raising her spirited son Jomo, a very energetic young elephant who just wants to play with other animals. So that's the synopsis. They're traveling from their home to a grassy knoll, and then we see them travel back. And we watch Gaia and her guidance. She is the eldest. She is the matriarch. She was the matriarch of this pack for 20 years. And her younger sister was under her leadership, and her younger sister's son, Jomo. Now, I found that the documentary kind of followed Jomo's experience more than anything, kind of watching the herd and the wildlife through the eyes of the baby. And he's not even the youngest, because during their journey, there is an infant that's born. They started off this documentary stressing me out. When they started their journey, Jomo, this spirited little baby, gets stuck in some mud. And when I tell you, they opened it up with me just being like, oh shit, he finna be in this mud. And I'm just watching and I'm like, oh my God, like y'all, he is really in this mud. And so Gaia, the leader, has to go in and get, Jomo. This is her nephew. She is such a good auntie. And she goes in to get Jomo, and Jomo gets stuck in the mud, and he's totally sinking, and his face is in it, and he can't breathe. But we watch her just carefully and meticulously pull this mud out of his snout. Is it his trunk? Like the basics of elephant knowledge. Sharion, get it together, okay? Pull the mud out of his trunk, out of his mouth. His little eyes was blinking. And she gets him out, and she kind of pulls a path in the mud. Now, the thing is, his mother, Shani, which is Gaia's sister now, Shani can't come and help because too much pressure in one spot, they'll all sink. So she has to be really careful. They are such smart animals. Oh my gosh. Anyway, they got Jomo out. But when I tell you, I was already like, okay, Meghan, you stress me out. Now, here's the thing. I know very well there is an entire company, crew, production behind this documentary. But because Meghan was the one narrating it, tell me why the entire time, every time something happened, I'd be like, now Meghan, why didn't they know that the lions was going to be there? Like, you would have thought me and Meghan was just watching this together. Like, now Meghan, you knew good and well that they was at those salt mines. They didn't need to be colliding with another pack. And like the whole time, I'm like, okay, well, listen, she narrated what she saw. She didn't make this stuff happen. But I like narrated films for that reason, because it does feel like you're watching with someone else. Now, anyway, I felt like the documentary did a great job of sharing emotional bonds between the elephants. I've always known that elephants were really intelligent. Same with like dolphins, and just animals in general are really smart. And their instincts are just so spot on. Here's the thing, humans, we're smart, but our instincts are shit. And so it's really cool to see something that just knows what to do, including the babies. They're just born in the know. Like Tiffany Pollard said, she was never a child. When she was born, she was just in the know. And that's how these animals were, including Jomo, or I would say especially Jomo. So I thought it was great to see a very close bond. At one point, Shani, Gaia's younger sister, sees a cousin that she hasn't seen in a long time, and you watch them just reconnect and touch each other's faces. Throughout the journey, we see them come in contact with a lot of predators, and every single time I was just like, this is gonna be it. Let me tell you this, I was raised on the OG National Geographic nature shows. So they had no problem following a little antelope the entire movie and being like, okay, we're going to follow Scout's journey. And Scout learned to walk and learn to forage and learn to prance and learn to run. And Scout is smart and we love Scout. And oh crap, a cheetah got Scout. Wow, and he is tearing his ass up. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and follow the cheetah. So the cheetah's name is Skip. Now we're going to follow Skip. Skip learned to run. Skip caught an antelope the other day, y'all. And it's just like, okay, this is brutal. So because I grew up with the hardcore National Geographic nature shows, I expected the worst. So when they were going through that river and those crocodiles were stalking them, I was just like, please somebody get Jomo. Like the whole time I was just like, please get Jomo and pull Jomo up to the front, just something. But the elephants created barriers between themselves and the crocodiles by putting the littles in the middles, and they put the big ones on the sides. So it was really cool to see that they're strategized too. So one of my favorite parts about this movie was that the elephants were strategizing. They weren't just like operating on instinct, yes, but they were using their instinct to strategize in a number of cases, particularly when they were crossing through the river with the crocodiles. They were just like, okay, don't you bring your asses over here. We're going to stomp you out. And so they put the big ones on the outside, the little ones in the middle. And the whole time I'm just like, please get them across this river. Please, can we fast forward? They made it. Then we see them go across this safari area, this opening, this clearing. And in some way, Gaia may have miscalculated her journey, because she was expecting, according to Meghan, she was expecting to get through the safari much faster than she got through. And so when the sun started going down, the lions were ready to hunt. Now, this journey was happening about a month before lions typically start hunting large game, because they expect that the large game crossing this area is dehydrated and weak. And so they hunt them around a certain time because they know they'll be weak. But this was way earlier than what that time should have been. So when the lions start kind of circling, it's like, okay, oh my gosh, they're really taking this and they're really running with it. When they first get to this area, they stop to drink. And a little pack of lionesses, they come and they kind of like stake their claim. So they come and they post up, and they looking at Gaia, and they looking at Shani, and they looking at Jomo, and they're staring them down like, okay, one wrong move and we gonna pick something off your litter. You just, keep doing your thing. And so they're all just posted up, Sarabi, Nala, all of them, they're just hanging out. And typically when I watch these, I go for the lions, always have. But now I've been following Jomo and co. And I'm like, okay, now I'm at a crossroads, because I'm not rooting for you. They are not bothering nobody. They're just making their little way, the circle of life, leave them alone. And so these lionesses post up and they're stalking the prey. They kind of got them in their eyes. And so Gaia, the matriarch, never to back down, never to be run up on, the true queen, 20 years in, you know what I'm saying? Like, matriarch, my crew runs deep. Gaia was like, oh, hell no. So Gaia starts walking towards the lionesses. And so some of her crew follows her, and they run toward the lionesses. Now, the lionesses have been sassy this whole time. You couldn't tell them nothing. They were sitting, now mind you, they're lions, but they are still very much cats. And if you know cats, you know all cats, no matter what type of cat. Cats can be jerks. I love cats. I absolutely love cats. I've had cats my whole life, in addition to my Schnauzer and Rottweilers. I've had animals, but my cats have always had a little sass, and they know what they want, and they rarely back down. So when these lionesses sat up there, they were just like, what you gonna do, Gaia? I'm getting your babies. Gaia ran up on them, scattered them. Oh my God. It was a very, very relieving scene, because I truly thought just for a second, these cats aren't backing down. They're gonna knock Gaia out. Like, they're gonna fight. But they didn't. They scattered. But tell me why they are so petty. After they scattered and Gaia went back to drinking her water with her herd, the cats, they reassembled. They took stock. Like, okay, Gaia, you got this round, but I'm gonna get your ass. And the sad part about this is, as funny as that scene was, later, they didn't make it out of that safari safely. And it got dark, and the cats started to mobilize. And the reason they will hunt large game at night if they're still walking is because elephants can't see well at night. Well, they tried to grab, so Shani and her baby boy Jomo accidentally got separated from the herd. I don't remember how that happened. But they got separated from the herd. the lions started grabbing Jomo. One of them actually had Jomo, and Gaia chased one off. Shani chased one off, and the lion grabbed Jomo from behind. When she got back, she chased that one off too, and then Jomo squeezed up against her, and they ran out of the space, and so they didn't get him. But what did happen was the stress of all of the lion attacks or lion attempts. It stressed Gaia out, who was already 20 years old. She was tired, overwhelmed, and it looked like the stress killed her, but she laid down and couldn't get back up. And so her sister Shani locked their trunks, and they got face to face, and she laid with her until her sister died, until she took her last breath. So the whole herd kind of mobilized around Gaia, the matriarch, and comforted her until she died. And then when she died, they knew they needed to get the hell out of there because all the other animals could smell her, and they came closing in. So when they were walking off, lions were already getting started on Gaia. And so they show this little scene of Jomo stopping and turning around and just kind of looking at his aunt, who'd been his matriarch his whole life. And he looked so sad, and he did this little turn away where he was like, oh my God, tell me why the tears was on the way. I was like, okay, Sharion, you cannot cry. This happened years ago, and this is nature. But I was just sitting there like, that was his auntie, y'all. I was I was like, okay, girl, you zoom out. You have a job to do. So they continued on their journey. And by this point, they need water. They've been walking for a couple of days with no water, and they find some salt mines. And so it's fun to listen to Meghan narrate this part in particular because she's very lively. I found that her tone matched what was going on very well, but she has an animated tone where she feels like she's part of the story. It doesn't feel like someone just watching something being like, so yeah, Jomo walked across the street, y'all. Yay. It wasn't that. It was very much interactive. When it was playful, she was playful. I thought she did an amazing job at this. Narrating is good for her. I think that's why her podcast is so successful and why it's so good to listen to, because she knows what to do with her voice. She's really good with inflection and tone. But yeah, they then get to the salt mines, and as they're eating, and also one of the herd had a baby during this whole journey. So one of the herd gave birth. So now Shani, Gaia's little sister, is the matriarch now because her sister died. So she's next in line, but she still has to prove herself. So she's the matriarch. She continues the journey with them. And as one of the herd members had this baby, she's now responsible for this baby as if it's her own baby because she's essentially the queen. And she takes him to the salt mine. She makes sure that the mother, the new mom, eats first and gets nutrients out of the salt mines first because she needs to replenish. The rest of the elephants are eating and getting, they're re-upping for their journey, and a new herd shows up. Now you would think that all of them understand what's going on, all of them understand this journey. They're all at this rest stop. They're tired. Just commune. But no, this new herd shows up and they get real territorial. They're bigger. They have a lot more elephants in their herd, and they're all bigger. And their matriarch, who I can tell, she looked older than Gaia. I think she was in year 24, 25. But she goes over there and she's sizing up Shani, who's the queen of the herd we're following, Jomo Mama. And so Jomo Mama looks over there and she's just like, we're using salt mines, keep it pushing. But this new herd is like, yo, we going on a journey too. We thirsty, we're hungry. Let us eat. And so she goes over to Shani as if she about to do something. So Shani, this is her time. She could prove herself to her crew and stay and protect their right to get nutrients, or she could back down and make them push forward because this herd is bigger than them. Shani said, balls to the wall, we duking it out. So she runs up on the matriarch. The matriarch runs up on Shani. They lock trunks. Oh, it's a melee, face to face. What's up? What you doing? And let me tell you, the whole time I was like, oh my God, oh, it's a fight. And Shani won. She said, no, what you're not about to do is run up on me and mine. So the other herd ran away. They kept it pushing. But Shani whooped her ass and called it a day. Now, when I tell you Meghan's voice coming on after that fight saying, the calf is safe for now. I was like, oh, thank God. Because the baby calf was what so they also revealed this. In order to assert dominance, sometimes a rival elephant crew will snatch up another elephant crew's babies. As if elephant on elephant crime is a problem, because they have enough predators in the world. We have watched Jomo evade crocodiles, evade lions, deal with these little caterpillars that eat up all the leaves that they like. And so they couldn't eat the caterpillar. They couldn't eat this little nasty caterpillar, so they couldn't eat these leaves that were just bountiful. We've seen Jomo's journey, but then he runs up on another elephant and he might get snatched by another elephant who understands the journey. Why don't y'all work together instead of working apart? That's a story for another day. But Jomo is weak. At one point, he's just like about to give up, and Shawnee turns around and is like, we are gonna wait for you, but you need to come on. And so they keep going, and they got back. They got back home, and we see the water flowing. We get to see all these images of like how this land comes back to life once the drought is over. And we see these catfish, and we see these frogs coming from underground. Now that was the coolest image, when we saw these frogs that had laid dormant underground for a certain amount of time. They just popped up when the water started flowing, and they were just fine. And I was just like, this is a lot. We see the fish. It's just beautiful. We see all these birds. But the best part was when the elephants got home and all of them got in that water. And we know that that was the one thing that they had been looking for this whole time, was just nutrients and water. And they were ready to get back to their space. And they're playing in this water and they just look so happy. It's a beautiful sight. I loved it. I watched that scene twice just because seeing them do backflips into the water. First of all, I don't know what my mind told me elephants do. I just didn't realize they were that agile. It just never dawned on me. So it was cool seeing them be all agile and have a good time. It was a sight to behold. I recommend it. I recommend this movie. Lastly, I watched the behind the scenes, and I won't spoil it because it's basically just showing you how they got the shots that they got. It's particularly the ones including the lions was, I was holding my breath. But they also had this scene where one of the directors or producers or somebody went over and he like touches this elephant dung and he puts his hand in it and it's salty. There was a female, she's close by. And everyone was just like, oh my gosh. And so another woman came over and she was like, what did you do? And he was like, you just stick your hand in it, just stick. And he was trying to get her to do it and she was about to do it. And he goes, I'm just kidding. I touched it with this finger, but I put this finger in my mouth. And she was like, I almost did it. Like, it was very funny. Read this article about how Meghan actually became the narrator of this film. And I found this from People magazine, and it was with co-director Vanessa Berlowitz. And here's her quote. She said, Meghan was absolutely intrigued by the elephants and transfixed, especially by the female empowerment side, how important the matriarchs are to the story. It really is all about female leadership. It's a different form of power. It's about consensual leadership. It's also very inclusive as well as very contemporary. She was absolutely fascinated by that. She also went on to say, rather than asking Meghan to come in and audition, Linfield, the other director, and Berlowitz formulated a different plan to hear her voice alongside the footage. They used one of her United Nations women's speeches against the picture, and thankfully, it all just worked out. Got an 81% on their tomato meter, so we're gonna go ahead and read the reviews. I only included a few, but I wanted to make sure I included some. I'm gonna start with Robbie Collin with the Daily Telegraph in the UK. He is a top critic. His review is, Elephant is set in a world without poachers, developers, or tourists. The picture it paints is beautiful and educative, but doesn't feel quite complete. He gave it a 3 out of 5. Educative is one heck of a word. I've never heard that used. The next review is by Richard Roper with the Chicago Sun-Times. He is considered a top critic, and he says, the Duchess's kid-friendly approach lines up well with breathtaking footage of a herd roaming Africa, and he gave it a 3 out of 4. Next up is with Carla Hay, who has a very pretty photo as her profile picture. And Carla Hay is with Culture Mix, and she said, Elephant represents some of the best of what Disney nature has to offer, and the movie accomplishes the goal of both entertaining and educating people of all ages. I did not see her review score, but it was positive. And then lastly, we've got Christy Lemire of Film Week in Los Angeles. She is also considered a top critic. And she said, Meghan Markle's narration was so schmaltzy and cloying that I could barely stand it, but the images are stunning. What else has Christy got to say? So anyway, I'm going to end this by reading an article because it's me. I'm going to end this by reading an article, and the article is from Vanity Fair. This was written by Richard Lawson. He is not the same guy that I thought of when I heard this name. So there is a very famous Black actor named Richard Lawson. He was in Poltergeist. He's been in a bunch of movies and a bunch of shows. He's just literally everywhere. But he is also married to Tina Knowles, Beyonce's mother, and he's also the father of Bianca Lawson, who is also a very famous actress in her own right. That is not him. But when I saw this name, I was just like, Richard Lawson, he writes for Vanity Fair. What doesn't he do? But I'm sure most of you would know who I'm talking about. Anyway, this article was found on vanityfair.com. Meghan Markle narrated this documentary about elephants. What more do you need? Look, elephants are great. I've never met an elephant, but I love them all anyway. I want them to survive and thrive and do all their elephant things for millennia to come. People who poach elephants are monsters, and the people who help preserve their natural habitats are saviors. I am very pro-elephant. That said, did I watch the new Disney nature documentary Elephant for the love of elephants? I gotta be honest, I didn't. I watched the new Disney nature documentary Elephant, which is, as the title suggests, about an elephant because of its narrator. The film, a cloying and not terribly scientific, but still compelling look at one herd of elephants making their way from the Okavango Delta to the Zambezi River and back again, was a must-watch for me because one, Meghan Markle, billed as Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, is the person telling the story. Meghan Markle narrated a nature documentary, you guys. Isn't that crazy? It's not crazy, Richard Lawson. Well, she was an actor before she married international ginger idol Prince Harry, second grandson of Queen Elizabeth, so narrating a documentary isn't totally out of her kin, but Markle had mostly forsaken her old life to marry into the British royal family before she and Harry suddenly yanked themselves out of it, so her involvement in this film was a bit of a surprise. A pleasant surprise, though. Markle is an engaging narrator, a warming voice of omniscience who gives lively shape to a story that's, well, true in the purest sense, though given a heavy zhuzh by the Disney machine. Having never seen a Disney nature documentary before, I was initially thrown by the cutesy tone of Elephant. I had perhaps dumbly been expecting something more along the lines of Planet Earth, narrated with dreamy authority by the likes of David Attenborough or Sigourney Weaver, or Life given voice by Oprah Winfrey. So when Markle's sing-song delivery began, I thought at first she was doing a terrible job, but then I realized that this was just how the movie was supposed to sound, soothing and playful for the benefit of the children meant to be watching it. Once I acclimated to that reality, Markle proved just the right fit for the story of tenacious elephants. The film, directed by Mark Linfield, Vanessa Berlowitz, and Alistair Fothergill, am I saying that right? Fothergill or Fothergill? Concerns a family of elephants who live in the Kalahari Desert, making yearly migrations from a flooded river delta to the edge of Victoria Falls, an endless cycle of chasing water that seems pretty exhausting. The film lets you feel that ache in every close-up of a weary elephant eye, every pan across cracked gray skin. It doesn't shy away from the harshness of nature's rule, but it does find or create as much brightness as it can elsewhere. Quite unlike a more serious nature documentary, Elephant names its subjects. Our protagonist is Jomo, the young elephant son of Shani, second in command of a herd. Her older sister Gaia is the matriarch. We talked about Gaia. There's lots of talk of succession in the documentary, a funny bit of meta irony considering Markle's place in a very scrutinized human dynastic drama. At one point, Markle says the matriarch is a force to be reckoned with, and there's no doubt she knows what she's talking about. Anyway, the movie heavily hold on, we about to work on this word. Anthropomorphizes. So I just learned a word live with you guys because I've never heard of this word before. And it's going to get the best of me. And I need you to bear with me because I care about you and I hope that you care about me. And so you won't kick me when I'm down because I'm about to be against the ropes when I try this again. Trust me, my little Texas twang is no match for whatever the hell he just said. All right, let's try it again. anthropomorphizes. Anthropomorph Screw it. Whatever the heck, Jomo and his compatriots, which is probably not the most responsible thing to do from like a zoological perspective. But it helps filmmakers writing some human-esque drama out of this process of fast and feeding. We adults might find it ridiculous and somewhat counterproductive to the understanding of animal behavior when the film imbues its subjects with human motivations for things that have been simply edited into reality. But I'm sure those storylines will keep little ones engaged, which is the whole point. Many a young elephant advocate will be christened by this film. Even if you're not really on the film's storybook wavelength, you can appreciate its stunning visuals. The filmmakers had breathtaking up close access, taking us to remote locations where many of us will probably never set foot. If you have a trip planned to the salt flats of Botswana, take me with you. The elephants are captured in full, moving detail, while other creatures, gibbering monkeys, lurking crocodiles, prowling lions, get nice little showcases as well. It's a solid nature movie, not quite factual enough to be a true work of scientific observation, but engaging and persuasively conservationist in its subtle way. But the real showcase here is Miss Markle, of course, and Elephant affords her and us some exciting opportunities. Who among us right now, as disease stalks the streets outside, doesn't need to respite? Oh, I forgot this was during the pandemic. Who among us right now, as disease stalks the streets outside, doesn't need the respite provided by hearing Meghan Markle, apostate of the House of Windsor, say, "Oh dear," after an elephant farts, another Jim, "Oh nuts, a crocodile." I aver that none alive on this planet, save maybe a few old stuffs rotting away in a drafty English palace or two, do not want to be blessed with the oral treasure. So for that reason, and yeah, sure, for the elephants too, seek out Elephant when it drops on Disney Plus. What better way to welcome Meghan Markle back to America when supporting the work she's now freely allowed to do? How cute. I love that article. He wrote that very well, and he threw in some good words, but I'm going to tell you, he beat me down with that one word. I'm just going to give up. You're watching me give up live and in the flesh. So that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have not already, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that notification bell. So next week, I know that my mouth and my audio have been a little bit off. I'm using an app called ClipChamp, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not that happy with it because it does this whenever it starts downloading. So when I rewatch it in the studio, it works fine. And then when I download it, it does this. So I'm working with them to figure out why, and I may be moving over to another software. So if you have a recommendation for video editing software so that I can move away from ClipChamp and stop my mouth from doing this, then please let me know. In the meantime, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that notification bell. If you're interested in becoming a member, go ahead and hit that join button below. We have 3 new member videos going up this week. We had a get ready with me hair tutorial on Tuesday. We had a tea time yesterday. And on Sunday, we will have our monthly cook with me video where I will be making the green omelet from the Together cookbook that Meghan created with the with Hub Community Kitchen. And so I'm using this cookbook to make a green omelet. So you don't want to miss that. So hit the join button below. Also, we just had some new emojis drop, as well as 2 special ones for Church Nelly. I hope you enjoy those of Nacho. But the other ones are all of Meghan, and I hope you guys enjoy them. So each emoji is just, one is of her clapping, one is of her smiling. I like it because it's a gleam of a smile. The other one is of her laughing and giggling. And then there is another one of her like kind of kikiing, like laughing with like a kiki, which I thought was so cute because we never see her laugh like that. So I want to know what the hell made her laugh, because I'm like, oh, it was probably funny. Anyway, you can use them however you want. But yeah, there are 2 of her laughing, 1 of her gleaming, and 1 of her clapping. So feel free to use them however you want. If you are a member, you have access to all of the emojis. So feel free to light up the live chat or just the chat or the comment section with your new emoji access. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.